Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome along to this Matchday -1 press conference on the eve of Milan Slavia Prague. We're with Stefano Pioli and Yacine Adli. Milan TV. Thank you, Laura. Good afternoon to the gaffer. And yes, I'd like to ask a question to both. After the game at Lazio, it felt like they worked very diligently and quietly ahead of tomorrow night's game. Yes, we came through the game well. I don't think it was our best performance from a technical perspective, but in terms of attitude and mentally, it was excellent. The team are on form. They know that we are coming into the decisive stage of the season. I think we're ready to approach that. Yes, good afternoon. Of course, not every game is the same, and you can't necessarily always get the same scoreline, but from our perspective, presumably it's the same situation as Rennes, not only to try and win, but to win comfortably ahead of the second leg, right? Yes, I think, just like against Rennes, we're at home in the first leg, so tomorrow, right from the word go, we'll try and produce a very intense performance and put the opposition under pressure. We know that we're up against strong opponents, but we'll be ready. Just in terms of housekeeping, let's start with the questions for Yacine Adli. So put your hands up for questions for Adli. Who am I going to next? Rocky, right. Away you go. Yacine, how important is this competition for you? We'll ask Stefano Pioli the same question, but is it your season's target at Milan? No, I think when Milan are involved in a competition, the goal is always to try and win it. It's a big opportunity. This is not the Champions League, but it is a high-level tournament nonetheless. There are some top-class teams, and we're also top-class opposition. We want to prove that, and we need to show that. A question in Italian. Even though you've gone to France twice this season. Yacine, you are developing. I think you're the only first-team starter at Milan that hasn't yet played for the senior national team. In recent days in France, and maybe you'll be able to explain to our colleagues, but you could also select Algeria or France, and it's quite common for French players with dual nationality. And you're apparently waiting on the France senior national side. At what stage are you at with regards to this decision, and what does it depend on? It's not only a footballing question, but also a personal matter. As a player, I want to play at the highest possible level. So it is a goal of mine to play for France. I'll explain why at a later date, but now's not the time. Any more questions for Yacine? Okay, calciomercato.it. Good afternoon, Yacine. You're now a regular in the Milan side. I'd like to ask you, what's the difference between playing with Reinders, Musa or Benacer alongside you? I don't know if I've necessarily become a first-team regular for Milan. I think we have 6 very strong midfielders, and all of us can play in any match without the team's level dropping off. Of course, my teammates have different attributes to me, but we try and make the most of everyone's skill set. We all get on with one another, we all want to help out the team, and we want to make sure that the team continues to play at a high level. Pianchin. Hi, Yacine, Gazzetta dello Sport. Can you explain to us how you've improved so much defensively? Because it was, I think, the weakness in your game. That's my personal opinion. Maybe you agree, but it seems you've been transformed. It's strange seeing a player improve one area of their game so significantly within the scope of the same season. What happened? Did something click? Have you spoken to your teammates, the head coach? With the staff and I worked a great deal on this. It was an area where I was lacking last season. I was aware of it, so it was easier to work upon it because I immediately grasped that I was a little lacking defensively. The head coach and his staff gave me everything I needed in order to develop in that area of my game. I still need to keep growing and improving, but I am happy because there are certain things that I didn't see before that now I see and I understand, and so I think that's big progress. I want to keep making progress, and I'm committed day in, day out to keep developing. Carta canta. Hi, Yacine. Congratulations for your performances this season. You have made lots of appearances this season, but it feels like you've also changed the way you play. You've not only got a lot of intensity, but you're clear-minded. You try and help out your teammates. Your teammates look for you. What has gone on inside your head or around you to make that happen? Nothing special. My way of playing is different because it's a different position, but I've always had the staff and my teammates' faith in me. They've always believed in my qualities. Last season, I think that's where I was lacking. And there were a number of players last season that were very strong on that score, so I have had to develop. It has taken me a bit of time, but I knew it and I was ready to do that. When they told me that it takes you time to play in Italy, I had to wait, I had to knuckle down and work hard, and eventually things came. There's no secret beyond that. Good afternoon. I'm from beIN Sports. 2 questions, if possible. The first pertains to winning this competition. What impact could that have on your future at Milan, Stefano? If you were to win this competition, would you stay at the club? Would it help you stay at the club? That's the question. The second question is, if an Arab fund invested in Milan, it would be the first club of this type in Italy. What impact could that have on the transfer window for Milan? You've managed to ask 2 questions, neither of which I'm in a position to answer. So much the better. Now we'll give the floor to Mediaset for Stefano Pioli. And then I'll come back to you after that, Carlo. Hi, Stefano. I'd like to come back to topical matters and the importance of this trophy and how much desire you have to win this competition. Perhaps your performances and your surge up the table in Serie A has also changed Milan's odds. You're now 3rd behind Bayer Leverkusen and Liverpool in the odds. Do you have a plan to try and win this competition by maybe finishing in a Champions League position as early as possible to then focus on trying to win the Europa League? We have to think that we are capable of winning it, but we also need to do a good job of making it through this round. I don't think we should necessarily get ahead of ourselves because matches are all very difficult in Europe. We're up against a team that only lost once in the group stage against Roma. As Yas has said, it will be important to make the most of playing at home tomorrow night, but after that it's one round at a time. As I said, we're playing well, we need to make the most of our form, and we need to stay focused on make it through to the next round. Within us, we're aware of the fact, and we have the motivation and the enthusiasm that we can go all the way, absolutely. Hi, Stefano. I wanted to ask you, Paris Saint-Germain are through to the quarter-finals of the Champions League. Does that mean you're a bit more rueful, or given the way that Milan beat Paris Saint-Germain at San Siro shows that you can beat anyone? Unfortunately, the Champions League is no longer part of our here and now, and it's not part of what we're doing in the here and now because of a few small details that got away from us in the crucial matches as opposed to the performances as a whole. But now we need to think about tomorrow's game. We need to think about going as far as possible in Europe because we're Milan, and it's only right that we should think that we can win the competition. I think we've got the possibility to show that tomorrow night. Good afternoon. I'd like to ask you a question about Milan's performances. Why do you think you're a little bit up and down in terms of performances? Not great against Rennes, very good against Atalanta. First half against Lazio, not great, if you will. It feels like Milan are a little bit unpredictable. When you go out there, you'd never know what to expect from Milan. I don't think that's been the case in recent times. The only game where we were really beaten comfortably was the Monza game, but even then it was a strange match. But I think over the last 2-3 odd months, the team has always played at a high level. I think performances have reflected that. Okay, not looking towards the final, you have to focus on tomorrow night's game. But if you were to isolate one attribute thanks to which Milan could go all the way, what would that attribute be? The quality of my players. Absolutely. The quality of the players that I'm coaching. They've shown in Europe that they've made giant strides compared with 4 years ago when we went out. I think often we were being eliminated in the group stage, and we've developed, we've progressed. We're no longer that team there. So we have the quality and the ability to go all the way, but we have to prove that now. Two questions, if possible, very quickly. The first is, how nice is it to have to be spoilt for choice defensively? Gabbia's on the rise. Tomori is getting fit again. You've picked Chow as well. How has Christian Pulisic looked in recent weeks where he's been unnecessarily targeted for criticism? It is an asset for all of us, for me above all, because I can choose, and we've got a number of matches, 4 games in the space of 10 days. And I'll try and harness all of the team's potential and the fact that I have more defenders to pick from now. As for Christian Pulisic, Christian doesn't need to be supported or defended because his past speaks very eloquently on his behalf. Social media has now become a way for people to just vent rather rudely and insult people, but Christian has all of our support. And as I said, he's way above everyone else, that he doesn't need our help on that score. It feels like either you win the Europa League or otherwise it's a forgettable season to be binned, this Milan campaign. How do you feel about this outside assessment? I think things should be assessed at the end of the season. Come the end of the campaign, I think all of us will actually decide what we think has and hasn't been a good season. Corriere della Sera, and then we'll move on to Ordine. I can't see him, but I'm sure he's lurking somewhere. For Stefano, I wanted to ask you something about Rafael Leao. Rafa has scored 4 league goals and 3 goals in Europe. So it's not a huge difference between League and Europe. Is there an explanation as to why he tends to step up in these special European nights? And is that a shortcoming, do you think? Thank you. You constantly need to beat the same drum. Rafa has the ability to be a match winner in every game, and often when he hasn't scored, he has provided an assist, or he's been a thorn in the side of the opposition defence, or he's helped us out. He needs to think that he can keep believing in himself and he can be a match winner in every single game, absolutely. Franco, here I am. Can you hear me, yeah? I wanted to ask you, Stefano, sorry. You've just said 4 matches in the space of 10 days. That means that you can't play with the same starting 11. So you will need everyone. Can you consider this run up to the March international break the crucial period whereby those that haven't played as much thus far need to prove that they are up to the standard of playing for Milan? No, we can consider it at a crucial stage of the season, yes. We can consider it a period where we also need to prove that we're at top level, but it's not easy for everyone to be competitive both domestically and in Europe. So our aim, it's not necessarily for one single player, it's for the whole team, for the whole squad of players. I know that I'm coaching an excellent group of players. I'm very proud to coach these players who give 100% day in, day out, and they try and show it when they get the opportunity. Conte. Sorry, L'Equipe, I apologize. Hi, Stefano. I interviewed Yacine a month or so ago. When he played very little in his first season, he told me that he respected your decisions as a coach, and secondly, that he also respected you as a person because you were always very consistent, you were sensitive in terms of the way you dealt with him on a human level. He's the second player of yours that said to me, Valentin Esseric said that to me off air, off the record at Fiorentina as well. How important is this in terms of the way you coach, being sensitive, because there are some successful coaches who leave a little to be desired on that score? I try to be clear, direct, and behave in the right way with my players in the knowledge that I still have to make decisions. I try to be close to them on everything, but when there comes a time to make a decision, I always put the best interests of the team ahead of what my own ideas are. Aria. Hi, Stefano. Milan's history and prestige, could that have an impact on tomorrow night's game, or could that conversely actually motivate the opposition? The tradition doesn't go out there onto the pitch. We need to show our strength. We need to make the most of the atmosphere. We need to show our attributes, absolutely. Did you want to ask a question as well to Yacine? Yes, Yacine. When you were struggling last season, you weren't playing much football. The large French contingent in the Milan squad, did they help you and support you, or you adapting to the team, was that sufficient for you to actually keep working to where you've got to now? Of course, when I first joined Milan, it was a lot easier to settle in because there are a number of French players. But I very quickly created ties with everyone, got on well with everyone. I get on with all of the players in the squad. There's no one who helped me more than anyone else. I liked being in the dressing room, and of course that did help me to overcome this period. Carlo Pellegatti. A technical question to Stefano Pioli and a quirky question to Adli. So, Stefano, we need to talk about Slavia Prague. No, we haven't yet spoken about them. Slavia Prague, they were winning 2-0, but then they lost to Sparta Prague, lest we forget, who knocked out Galatasaray, so a good team. And then they drew a goalless draw against Sparta Prague in the Cup. What sort of team do we need to expect? Perfect. They're a team with a lot of intensity. They cover the pitch a great deal. They're very direct. They run a lot. They always have three up front, playing very close to one another. They're a team that like to keep possession, like to shift the ball, but they like to stretch the pitch. They like to get the ball forward quickly to their pacey, powerful strikers. They're a team that play with high intensity, high octane football. They've got a quality squad, good quality, decent squad. And their head coach is very good because he often makes 5 or 6 changes between games, even when there's not necessarily European matches, but he is always able to keep those performance levels high. He's been there for a long time, since 2018. Twice they've been in the quarterfinals of the Europa League. So as I said, we need to show a great deal of respect and focus ahead of playing Slavia Prague. For Adli, I'd like to reference Napoleon. Circumstance, circumstance, I'm the one who creates circumstance, as Napoleon said. When did you first create these circumstances? What were the circumstances that brought you to this press conference? No, I've not created anything. I'm someone who has a lot of faith. I believe a great deal in God, and plenty comes from Him up there. So I simply try and do my job well day in, day out with my family and be a good person. Thank you very much, everyone. All the best.